Warning, warning, Wii U. If you're a big fan of RWBY and don't want to listen to people being rude about the show, you probably won't enjoy this podcast. Please don't make yourself suffer. You've been warned.
Leaves you trapped inside a maze.
Hey everybody, welcome to RWBY Slushy. We're back a little earlier than we expected. I'm Fiend. Cube, why are we back?
Bean, I have a problem. I can't stop thinking about the RWBY.
This is the thing you need to understand, is that while we're not actually doing podcasts about a running season of RWBY, Cube is still thinking about RWBY all the time. So while there is actually a season of RWBY on, Cube's thinking about RWBY even more. And there's things that have occurred to us that we didn't talk about in the last podcast that we'd like to cover now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm very dedicated, as you know, to accurate reporting of the RWBYs, and I've made some crucial errors, some crucial omissions, and it's unacceptable. It's disgusting. It has to be corrected, Phoenix.
It's on you as a journalist to correct your mistakes and make sure everyone's aware.
Fucking right. And so to show my dedication to being a good journalist, I have a giant list of things. Okay, first off.
Okay, number one.
We forgot to mention something very crucial that was in Cinder's backstory, which is, I think I mentioned in the Pre-Salt podcast very briefly that there was going to be a RWBY brand coffee that they were going to put in the show.
Oh, that's
for
right.
Product placement. And we forgot to mention that they finally put it in, and it's all over the kitchen of her abusive hotel mom's kitchen. It's the RWBY Huntress Blend Coffee, Mistral Mountains Roastery. And I just love that they were like, what's the best place to put our new product placement in? I know.
Yeah. The funny thing is, people have pointed out, like, there was a scene earlier in this season where someone spilled coffee.
Yeah, there were multiple scenes where we could have seen it in that fucking command center place.
Yeah, exactly. And then, no, we had to put it in the background during a story of torture and abuse of a young child. Cool.
It's like, it is supposed to be like a ritzy hotel despite being run by children, so they think of it as like opulent. It makes it seem luxurious. And also the design of the coffee is so, because they wanted it to look correct in the show, it's like super generic. If you looked at it, you would not for a second guess that it's RWBY brand.
Yeah. I do understand that there is kind of a market for merch that doesn't look like merch until you look really closely. Because it's like the fans can, like, one fan can spot it and go, ah, and the other fan can go, yeah, and you both feel very smug.
Secret merch.
But something disposable like coffee, it's kind of odd. Because, like, it's not like, say, a shirt or something with a subtle reference or something. It's a thing that hangs out in your kitchen and will get thrown out in a little bit. It's a very odd bit of merch.
Yeah, and it says Mistral Mountains Roastery, and it's kind of to look like a Starbucks bag almost, and it just has like some mountains in a simple thing, and it just says Huntress Blend under it. And that's how you know it's RWBY. I guess it's classy, but I don't know. What I think they should have done is they should have had Grim Dark Roast coffee, because then it's like a double pun, you know. It's like grim, and it's like grim dark, and then it's a dark roast, you see, and it'd be amazing.
I think that's definitely a stronger pun.
Well, this isn't even a pun. This is nothing. And the flavor notes are herbal tea, lemongrass, and toffee, which seems like a weird combo to me, but I guess I'm not a connoisseur.
I mean, whenever they talk about the flavors of coffee, it's like, it's mostly just coffee. Maybe you can smell or taste something. It's one of those things where it's like if you hear a lyric wrong, but you'll start hearing it wrong if people tell you what to hear. Like, oh no, he's totally saying, excuse me while I kiss this guy. And only after someone says that, you can actually hear it. But until someone said it, you didn't know there were notes of blueberry in this fucking coffee.
Yeah, so you're saying the hints of lemongrass are entirely psychological?
Yeah, they're psychosomatic lemongrass.
Yeah, I believe that, but I also, I can't tell coffee apart. It's all just fucking coffee to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's point one.
Okay. How many points? How many points, Cube?
No spoilers.
No.
Point two. So Rhodes, I made a horrible accusation that he was a ripoff of Greed, and it turns out that was extremely unfair. He's a ripoff of Colossus from X-Men specifically. And you know that he's specifically a reference to Colossus because he's the Colossus of Rhodes, is the pun, I guess. And I'm like, do statues count as fairy tale characters now?
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I still think that particular shot, because that's the only time you see him using that stone skin technique.
You actually do see it when he catches her mace that he gives her to attack him with in the very first scene where he meets her.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to see, but yeah, the only time they really draw attention to it is then.
I still feel like that shot is, like you said, it looks like greed.
Yeah.
IMO.
But yeah, there's something really funny to me about it. His whole thing being like a big funny pun. And it's like the Colossus of Rhodes is Helios, but obviously he's not Helios themed. He's specifically the statue themed. It's strange.
But he's also Colossus from X-Men themed.
Yeah, because he's specifically metal.
Yeah. Like, so when you're talking about Colossuses, obviously you just think of Colossus.
Yeah, because I always thought of Colossus as, I thought that he's just always metal, but I guess that's only in some iterations.
He's meant to be really big as well, normally, like, because he throws Wolverine a lot. Like, he yeets him.
Oh, is he the one who does the fastball special?
Yeah, I think it's Colossus, yeah.
Of which I have heard.
Just to sidebar for a second, I do kind of like how Colossus was in one of those X-Men movies, but he gets completely, like, sidebarred. Wolverine sticks him on babysitting duty. There's a whole section in X-Men 2, I think, where a whole bunch of kids, like, escape the school, like 30 of them. And he goes, do you want me to help you? And he goes, help them. And so Colossus has to go off screen and hang out with 30 kids until the end of the movie. And you just don't see him again.
Sadly, my main touchstone for Colossus in the movies is the Colossus in Deadpool, who I did not like and thought was stupid and over the top. Where he's like puking at anything that's kind of gross or whatever.
Yeah, well, that's Deadpool, isn't it?
I liked some other aspects of the Deadpool movie. The teen girl was fine as a joke. It was just like puking I don't find to be like, ha, he puke.
Yeah.
Oh, but also, it's kind of funny thinking about that kind of power, because it's one of those things where it's like, but he already has aura. So it's like, that's one reason that, like you wouldn't notice when he uses the metal hand to catch her mace, because of course you can do that. You have aura. So how is that affected by making your hand metal? What are the mechanics of this?
And also, once your aura goes down, he can't use that semblance, can he?
Exactly.
So it's, yeah.
So it's like, I guess it preserves aura if someone attacks your skin and it's metal, but you had to use aura to make your skin metal. So I'm not sure this is a very good power.
So it's like in a space sci-fi sim where you have shields and you have armor. And so you have to work through both.
But you have to use your shields to make the armor every time. So, weird power. Okay, so also the butt rock that plays when Cinder fights... Now I keep wanting to call him Colossus. The butt rock that plays when Cinder fights Rose is a song that's actually not written for RWBY for the first time.
Yes.
It's a song by Casey's band that's called Okay Goodnight. And I was like, oh shit, no wonder the beat is more sick than most beats in RWBY. Well, I'm going to go listen to the whole song. Oh no, the whole song's a mess. It keep happening.
No. How was it specifically a mess? You mentioned discordant melody?
Yeah, it's the same thing as like the new opening to RWBY. It's that like, it feels like it's just not a song contiguously. Like the part that they play in RWBY is 5 minutes in and is completely disconnected from anything else that's going on in the song. And then like the song has like this pretty cool guitar riff going on, but that doesn't sound like it fits with the drums and whatnot. I'm sad because like I would try to demonstrate it to you, but then you'd just be like, it sounds like shit like everything, like all of these. And I'd be like, no, you don't understand.
Well, the discordant thing I find with the RWBY music in general is I find the harmonies messy and kind of annoying and samey. But I do know what you mean with some of the newer music where it's either doing a weird jazz thing where everything's on the offbeat. It's strange. I'm
going to have you listen to a little, because I need you to understand.
You're going to get his content ID'd.
No, look, it's you'll listen to it and then we'll come back and you'll comment on it and back me up here.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like it's all out of time with itself.
Yeah.
It's deliberate, but it's like, this is the sort of stuff that like weird rock nerds get off on.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, is this the connoisseurs rock thing, is to be like, fuck you, clear melody. We're too good for that.
I think there's a bit of that in some styles of rock, yeah. I'm trying to think of there's a couple of bands that are like it. Like guitar nerds and musician nerds in general get off on it because they play in these really crazy time signatures, and it's the same appeal as like hardcore fusion jazz.
I see.
But it's like, yeah, to most people it sounds weird.
I'm just like, I want to, oh, this happening is cool. Wait, why is all this other stuff happening? Wait.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those things where it's not necessarily bad. It's just not for me and I don't know how to appreciate it properly. you know?
Yeah, okay. So, well, if you viewers, if you want to judge and see if it's good, actually, if you're a super smart person, it's Okay Good Night. The song's called Awake. But also what I find funny about it is, so the 4 lyrics that they include in the show, one of them is ripped apart by knives in Lover's Lies. And it's like, obviously she and Rhodes aren't lovers, I would hope. So obviously it's just, completely unrelated. But, obviously a lot of RWBY fans think the lyrics are relevant to the show and that Jeff isn't making stuff up. So it'd be funny if they're like, whoa, were they secretly lovers? I had no idea.
Ages ago on Fatal Launch, my other podcast where we watched failed TV pilots, we watched a pilot
Plug.
for attempt to make a TV series out of Warren Ellis's comic series Global Frequency. And there was a thing very like that in this. There was like a Matrixy type fight in a corridor, and they were playing a Static X song over it. But the Static X song, like, as this woman was beating up 2 guards with assault rifles, there was this Matrixy sort of like 2000s kind of new metal weirdness playing.
Yeah, this has the beat we need for our scene.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden you hear this guy going, "I've always loved you! I've always loved you!" Like, it was really odd. And then you also hear a lady say, "I can't believe you're doing this to me."
I can't believe I'm letting you do this to me.
That's it, yeah. And it turns out the song was a song called Love Dump, which is about scat. It's about scat sets.
Love dump, love dump.
Yeah, that was the song they chose for this fucking scene.
Look, I guess it came cheap.
Well, it was a B-side. This is the thing. It wasn't a huge song.
Oh, someone was a connoisseur. But yeah, that's awesome.
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
should listen to Failure to Launch. There's a lot of goofy pilots.
Over 100 episodes, but that one in particular, Global Frequency, was a good one. Anyway,
Okay, so yeah, that was point 3.
okay.
Point 4 is very relevant to something that we talked about last time. There's a couple things here that I want to talk about, but they're more to do with previous seasons. So the thing is, I feel really bad and ashamed because I forgot something about the exact wording of what the gods said to Salem in 6-3.
Oh, obviously you felt ashamed about this. It's a very serious thing.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, so the god said, as long as this world turns, you shall walk its face, in regards to the nature of her immortality, okay?
Right.
And when Light God is explaining to Ozpin how his fetch quest results are going to work, he said, if your kind is unchanged, if you demand our blessings while still fighting amongst yourselves, then man will be found irredeemable and your world will be wiped from existence.
Right.
So it's extremely possible that Salem's motivation is once again that she just wants to fucking die. He specifically worded it so it's like, hey, as long as the world exists, you won't be able to die. Wink. And then he's like, hey, Ozpin, here's a convenient mechanism for destroying the entire world. This is fine.
So that in that sense, then that means, okay, then yeah, she does have a motivation for destroying the world because she just wants to die.
Yeah, I feel like that can't be what they're doing, right? Can it?
I mean, look, put the motivation aside for the second. I think because she is a very straightforward, she's the bad guy villain, it's fine to say that yes, she wants to destroy the world because that's what the final boss wants to do. Like, that's as much as I feel like there's been thought put into it. This would make that make sense. It would be oddly thoughtful, I guess.
No, yeah, like that would be like a really sympathetic
I mean,
thing. Like, it's literally the only way she can die.
yeah, I mean, it's again one of those things where it's like, in order to run with this ending, you have to acknowledge that the gods are bad guys. Like, in particular, the Light God, he fucking sucks.
I think they still don't have to. I think they have to be like, well, that's just her being selfish still. See, now she's willing to destroy the entire world just for the sake of being allowed to die and not doing what the Light God told her to do, which is to
Learn her lesson.
yeah, which who knows what the fuck that means, Yeah.
Yeah, she's still sympathetic. I think this could be her motivation. I think this could be what she wants, is just for the world to end so she can end too. But it's like,
It's so hard to say because, like no one in the show has mentioned that, and other characters in the show definitely think that she wants to take the world over, and they put that in their book. And it's like, but if you actually look at all these very specific things, it really does seem like she just wants to fucking die.
it's also kind of like, how do I put this? Like, I feel like it's often tricky to get a villain who wants to destroy the world for a good reason.
Yeah.
I feel like they did it very quickly in that they just had a god set 2 rules. And now in order for her to kill herself, she has to destroy the entire world. So she's got a good reason for wanting to destroy the world, but it still feels lame, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I feel like if they really leaned into that as like her thing, just being wanting to die and the kind of like nature of that, I think that could be really interesting and really sympathetic and stuff. But again, I don't think that's what they think is happening somehow.
It certainly doesn't feel like they've tried to make her sympathetic. Because if they actually did acknowledge the fact that this is the reason she's doing everything, then you have to grapple with the fact that this thing has been done to her. And that, you know, that's a good reason to do stuff. But she's not like, as much as she might have a sympathetic motivation, she's not treated sympathetically, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think even if she wants to die, they'll be like, she's evil and petty, and that's why she's willing to destroy the entire world just for the sake of dying, that bitch. Like, I don't think that they would have sympathy for that.
No, and to be fair, like, she is wrong. That would be a bad thing to do.
That is pretty rude, yeah.
But it's also like, yeah, she never comes across as someone who looks like or acts like she just wants to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That isn't the way she ever feels as a character. She's just big, angry, creepy salami lady.
Yeah, I guess that will end up being the actual thing is like, she's so still bitter about the fact that she's not allowed to die, that she's gonna kill everyone, and she's just a rude, bitter lady.
Yeah. Which means, I feel like the only way this works is that the gods have to come back and kill her, but keep everyone else around.
You know what it is? Ruby's going to give one more big speech at the finale of the show, and everyone's going to be just so moved that the world will be united. And then they'll win. They'll win the final battle.
Fucking probably. That is her main power. That's her semblance these days, is fucking anime speeches.
God, I had included more of that transcript and just the whole fucking, until your task is complete, you will reincarnate, but in a manner that ensures you are never alone, to Oz. So misleading. It's so...
Yeah, they've completely retconned that thing.
Well, no, it's not even that it's retconned. It's just that it's horrible. Like, he just told Oz, like, you'll never be alone. And it specifically didn't tell him that he's going to be a soul parasite thing.
Yeah. He could have done what he did to Salem to Oz as well. Like, it wouldn't have been a big deal.
And then they make it clear with the framing that the only reason that Oz agrees to come back so readily is that he'll be able to see Salem, and the God of Light is like, she's gonna be kind of different though, you know, without saying that it's because of what he did.
Yeah.
It's so shitty. I never get over how shitty it is.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible. He's such an awful character. And then it still also kills me though that it's like, in that episode they set up the whole thing that it's not like a takeover, but everything since has been, it's a takeover.
Yeah, and it's like, so you'll never be alone, except, I mean, you do become a single person that takes over their mind, but I guess technically you're the merger of two people, but I still think that doesn't count. No,
it doesn't. And there's still no explanation for why he fucking sounds like Ozpin.
I want Oscar to retreat into his mind palace, and he meets the actual Ozpin, who was like this other guy who had a family and stuff, and he's like, fuck that, Ozma, god damn it. I never got to live. Okay, point 5. So you know how I mentioned the whole thing with Hazel and how it doesn't make any sense that he knew that they were going to Atlas somehow?
Okay, yes, I caught a little bit of your dissertation on the timeline of events here.
Yeah, so someone pointed out there was this moment where Cinder is talking to Little Miss, and they make it clear that some quote-unquote big guy had asked about Team RWBY, and I had remembered that, but I'd always told myself that they were referring to Adam because it made no sense to me that it was Hazel.
Yeah, and it also, like, there had to be a way that Hazel, or that Adam found or caught up with Team RWBY in Season 6.
Well, that's the thing. I think Adam just, because, you know, like, at the end of Haven, he's still kind of around town, so I guess he's just, like, he was just kind of, like, hanging out on their roof, just spying on them for a couple weeks.
Yeah, but it waited to attack them till that moment.
Well, he wanted her to be alone.
And she'd never been alone at any point up to that.
But so I went to check the transcripts to see exactly how that all worked. And so here's the thing. So Cinder, you know, she fell in the water and got unfrozen and then walked back to town after killing that lady. So back in Mistral, now dressed in the clothes of the woman she encountered earlier, she steps out of the alleyway. Her grim arm is bandaged up. She looks to her left and notices a holographic screen showing the portraits of her and her allies. A subtitle below says, "Last known location, Haven Academy, approximately 1 month ago." So, and then later they say the big guy asked about him last week. So Cinder, that scene is very clearly framed as Cinder first, like, getting into town. So it took her a month to walk from where she fell down back into town.
Well, we don't know how long she was frozen for, I suppose.
No, we see her hit the water and she immediately is unfrozen.
What if the fall was really long? Because it's from weird hammer space where the vault is.
Yeah. But the vault is normal physical space until you get into that door. It's very silly. It doesn't make any sense. And also, so if they were last seen over a month ago and the big guy asked about him last week, that implies that Hazel, Emerald, and Mercury were hanging out in town right after their big terrorist incident for weeks. And then showed back up at Salem's place like they had just lost. How is the show real? How is this in the show?
The important thing to remember, Cube, is that by not locking down a timeline, you avoid having plot holes. This is a proven technique used by master writers everywhere.
This was the main thing that I felt like I was like, oh God, I have to correct this because I said it was stupid for the wrong reason.
The important thing is that, like, you were right. It was still stupid, just not for the reason you stated.
Yeah, it's just so, like, especially the idea that Hazel could be hanging out in town for weeks and not be recognized.
Yeah.
I just imagined him in, like, a hoodie, you know, and everyone's like, well, I can't tell who he is.
Just a very, very large man. To be fair, people might not recognize Emerald, because at that time there were tons of people with her haircut.
That's true. God, I forgot about that. That was awesome. Okay, so last very important point.
Oh, okay.
When the whale does its big old pukey and a bunch of monsters come out, I feel like shit because I didn't notice the return of my boy. There's a fucking flying gorilla in the puke. It comes up and it's like, I'm here. And I'm
boy.
like, oh.
And you didn't appreciate him. Oh.
Yeah, I've been waiting for my monkeys, and it's finally back, the flying gorilla. And apparently one was also on the screen when when they had that goofy ass newscast in episode 2. There was like one flying in a still image. So I feel so bad that I missed 2 opportunities to cite my gorillas.
They're back.
Theoretically, it should be kind of interesting because that means that somehow Salem adding wings to that one gorilla has added it to the general pool of like randomly summonable Grimm. So it's like, that'd be kind of interesting if it was like a purposeful thing.
Well, this is again this thing of like, are Grimm naturally occurring? Does she create Grimm? How much control does she have over the creation of Grimm? Grimm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, Grimm must naturally occur. Like, she can't have to make every Grimm. But then it's like, yeah, once she's invented new kinds of Grimm, those Grimms are able to come out naturally or whatever. And it's like, that's just... I want the Dark God to get back and be like, what have you been doing with my shit? You recalibrated it all. What are all these guys? What?
It's like getting back in a car and having to adjust the mirrors. It's fucking...
Yeah. So yeah, they're here. Somebody better fucking fight him. I can't wait.
I want Oscar to escape so those things can kidnap him and take him back again.
Hell yeah!
It's just, you had Monkey Grimm. You had Monkey Grimm that the Wicked Witch of the West was using, and they weren't the things that went and got Oscar and brought them to her. Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought that we might never see them again because they realized that they were funny looking, but nope, there's my boy. And I do wonder, it'd be funny if it's only for shots like that, and then anytime you actually see them fighting Grimm, they're gone again.
Yeah. Just because they do look funny.
Which would anger me greatly. Oh, but that also reminded me of something else. So, Team Funky, I wonder if we'll be seeing them soon again.
I mean, you would expect them to fight on Atlas, I suppose, even though from as far as we could tell, they never fought in Mistral. Sorry, not Mistral, Mantle.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's like all these other students, it's the kind of thing where definitely they should be there, but obviously like the budget and considerations of trying to show a bunch of students participating in the fight would be difficult. But I feel like you could work something out with, they all have their uniforms, so you would just need to uniform some of those random heads and then just like a certain number of generic weapons. I feel like you could maybe do it. I don't know. It would be nice to know that all the students weren't just sitting in their dorms for the entire fight of Atlas.
Well, this is the thing. That's what they've apparently been doing this whole time. We never saw any other fucking Atlesian students.
Well, they were all ushered into the dorms in that one scene by Winter,
Yeah.
and then they're good children and they all stayed in their dorms. But Team Funky especially, you could make it kind of cool because like they were there for the fall of Beacon, so they could like very dramatically be like, not in our fucking home, bitches. But it is already kind of weakened by the fact that, yeah, it seems like they didn't bother helping with Mantle.
No, not at all.
They only care about their own flying city.
Now, speaking of Team Funky in general, and hunters in general, should we maybe talk about the fact that we are going to have a little death pool?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, at the end of next episode, we're going to do a death pool. I think the way that it should work is that we each have 100 chips and we bet them on whoever we think is going to die to whatever amount we want. And for any character that dies that we both guessed, you double your money. For any character that dies that only one of us guessed, you triple your money for that bet.
So you're encouraging us to go out on the big ones.
Go out on a limb a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we encourage y'all to play along. 100 chips, put them on whatever characters you want, and we'll all see how we come out by the end of the season. You could even maybe think about it over the break.
80 chips on Professor Oobleck.
Fucking Oobleck. He could show up. He could show up if Raven does an Avengers Assemble thing.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, wow. And Professor Port with his fucking dumbass axe gun.
They'll have to recast his voice because the guy who did his voice got sacked because of dodgy things. Go Google that.
It keep happening.
It keep happening.
Wait, shit, that reminded me of something else though. Fuck. Oh, I also, when I went to rewatch the Weiss fight with Marrow, because they were talking about all the very important, you can only put in the exact number of lines that you have to, blah, blah, blah. I'd forgotten that there was that part where he's like, we know you schnees are used to getting whatever you want, but you just have to take the L here or whatever. And she's like, this is my home and I'm not giving it up without a fight. And I'd forgotten about how weird that was with her telling that to Marrow. And I'm like, you cut that shit.
Yeah.
You could have cut that shit, Eddie. God damn it.
You gotta stop.
Oh, that's another thing I have to correct from that podcast. By the way, if you only watch the YouTube, there was an audio only because it was extra salty and it was just about the Marrow shit. So you'd have to listen to it on your podcast player. But I took for granted that everyone in the crowd didn't have their aura unlocked, and that's why he was able to freeze the whole crowd without dying. But fucking at least 2 happy huntresses were in that crowd. You see them get frozen. It's so stupid.
But Eddie had such a long explanatory post about how it all worked. He explained it. What are you worried about?
Again, it's what kills me about these fans, because they're like, obviously this, you fucking dumbass. And then they forget the fact that the 2 of the happy huntresses were in that crowd.
Oh, well.
I love RWBY.
Yeah, it's a show.
Okay, I think I got it out. I think I got it all out.
Okay, good.
Like I had all these really important thoughts, and I didn't want to put them all in the next episode because so many of them have to do with previous seasons or other stuff, and I didn't want to take up next episode with that. But I had to talk about them, or I'd die. I'd explode.
Fair.
Thank you for humoring me.
We'll see you guys soon for the next RWBY.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening to me and also humoring me.
See you guys.
Bye.